Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're exploring the spiritual teachings of the Brahma Kumaris.
Oh, very interesting.
And we're going to be looking at an excerpt from their daily text, the Murli.
Okay.
We're going to be unpacking some pretty profound concepts like soul purity and the cycle of time.
Okay.
And all within this very unique worldview that the Brahma Kumaris present.
Yeah.
And you know me,
Yeah.
I'm always drawn to those particularly intriguing points.
Right.
So we will be discussing this idea of becoming like salt water, which I have to admit sounds a little ominous to me.
Yeah, it is a very powerful metaphor, and
right.
it really speaks to this kind of inner turmoil
Right.
that we can experience. And I
Yeah.
think what's so fascinating about the Murli is how they use these vivid images and metaphors to convey complex spiritual ideas.
Yeah, that's a great point. So let's just dive right in.
Okay.
The Murli introduces this concept of the Trimurti Father, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Each of these figures representing a really fundamental force in creation.
Yeah.
And it says that we are considered children of this Trimurti Father. So what are the implications of that for us, the listeners?
Well, I think it suggests a direct lineage to the divine,
Right.
to the very source of creation.
Yeah.
And if we really kind of grasp this concept, I think it can fundamentally shift how we see ourselves
Right.
and our place in the universe.
It makes you wonder if we're tapping into that creative power in our own lives.
Yeah.
Now, the Murli goes on to explain how the Trimurti Father carries out these three activities:
Yeah.
establishment, destruction, and sustenance.
Okay.
And here's where it gets a little bit mind-bending.
Yeah.
It says that these activities are happening simultaneously.
Right.
Isn't that a bit paradoxical?
Right.
How can something be created and destroyed at the same time?
Well, the Murli really presents this cyclical view of reality.
Okay.
It's less about this linear progression and more about this continuous dance of these forces. I mean, think about like a forest fire.
Okay.
It's destructive, right?
Right.
But it also clears the way for new growth.
Yeah.
So it's that destruction and creation
Right.
intertwined.
So it's not necessarily a negative thing then.
Right.
Destruction is just part of this natural order, paving the way for something new to emerge.
Exactly.
I like that perspective. The Murli then connects these three activities to the idea of spiritual study.
Okay.
It says that studying the Murli is a form of sustenance,
Right.
leading to soul purification. So how does that work exactly?
Well, the idea is that through spiritual study, we absorb knowledge.
Right.
And we cultivate virtues. And this process helps us to shed impurities
Okay.
and move closer to a state of soul purity.
Okay.
It's like polishing a diamond.
Oh, okay.
The more we study, the more we refine our inner selves.
Interesting. So it sounds like spiritual growth isn't this passive thing,
No.
but it's this active process of learning and self-refinement.
Right.
And this whole purification process, it ties into the concept of the cycle of time,
Okay.
moving from an impure world to a pure one.
Right.
What did you make of that?
Well, the Murli describes a shift from a Tamapradhan world, which is filled with darkness and impurity, to a Sattopradhan world, which is one of light and purity.
Okay.
And it's this recurring cycle. And the text suggests that actually achieving this state of purity is a rare accomplishment.
Okay, so the stakes are pretty high here.
Yeah.
It's not just about acquiring knowledge,
Yeah.
but about fundamentally transforming ourselves.
Exactly.
Which brings us to this idea of body consciousness. The thing that the Murli says makes us like salt water.
Right.
Can you unpack that metaphor for us a little bit?
So becoming like salt water refers to that kind of internal burning and negativity
Okay.
that arises from being overly focused on the physical self. So it's about the damage caused by things like jealousy,
Okay.
insecurity,
Right.
attachment to the material world. And the Murli suggests that these feelings actually create this kind of corrosive effect on our souls,
Yeah.
hindering our progress towards purity.
Ah, okay. So salt water represents that inner turmoil,
Yeah,
that bitterness that can poison our relationships
exactly.
and our own sense of well-being.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful image. Now, the Murli lists 4 specific ways that body consciousness damages us.
Okay.
Let's dive into those.
All right.
The first one is jealousy.
Right. So the Murli states that jealousy creates this sense of salt water between people.
Okay.
It breeds resentment, erodes trust,
Right.
and makes it difficult to serve others with love.
Yeah.
When we're consumed by jealousy, we're unable to see the good in others or appreciate their unique gifts.
Jealousy really does have this corrosive effect, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
It's that feeling of constantly comparing ourselves to others
Right.
and then leading to dissatisfaction and resentment. What's the next point?
So the Murli warns that body consciousness also makes us susceptible to Maya's deception. So Maya represents illusion,
Right.
the forces that distract us from our spiritual path.
Okay.
And the text suggests that when we're overly focused on the physical world, we become careless and we lose sight of our true purpose.
Well,
And that can lead to discouragement in our spiritual practice.
so it's like Maya is whispering in our ear,
Exactly.
tempting us with material possessions and worldly desires,
Right.
and ultimately pulling us away from our spiritual journey.
Exactly.
That makes sense. What's the third point that the Murli highlights?
So it discusses the issue of an impure heart.
Okay.
So body consciousness with its focus on external gratification. It clutters our hearts with negativity.
Well,
And this inner state of turmoil prevents us from connecting with the Father, the source of purity.
I see. So it's not just about our actions,
Right.
but also about the state of our hearts.
Yeah.
You know, our inner world reflects outwards, impacting our relationships and our ability to connect with the divine.
Right.
What's the final point?
The Murli states that body consciousness leads to fluctuating moods and negative outward expressions.
Okay.
Our internal struggles manifest in our interactions with others, creating disharmony and conflict.
Yeah.
It's like carrying a storm cloud within,
Right.
raining negativity on everyone around us.
I think we've all experienced that,
Yeah,
both as the storm cloud and as a person getting rained on.
exactly.
It's not a pleasant experience for anyone involved.
So if body consciousness is this major roadblock on our path to purity, what does the Murli suggest as an antidote?
The Murli highlights the importance of cultivating spiritual might
Okay.
through the practice of yoga.
Now, when most people hear yoga, they think of physical postures.
Right.
Breathing exercises. Is that
Right.
what the Murli is referring to?
It's more about the practice of connecting with the divine,
Okay.
remembering the Father. And this remembrance builds spiritual strength,
Okay.
a force far greater than any physical power.
So it's about shifting our focus from the external to the internal.
Exactly.
To nurturing that inner connection.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And this shift in focus leads to another key concept, service.
Okay.
The Murli presents the Father as a servant
Right.
and encourages us, his children, to follow suit. What did you make of that?
Well, it's a powerful message.
Yeah.
It suggests that true leadership lies in service,
Okay.
in using our gifts and talents to uplift others
Right.
and contribute to a greater good. It's about shifting from a mindset of self-interest to one of selfless service.
It makes you wonder, what would the world look like if everyone adopted that approach?
I know, right?
The Murli then uses these terms, Maharathis and foot soldiers,
Okay.
to describe different ways that we can serve. What do those terms mean in this context?
So Maharathis are likened to horse soldiers,
Okay.
leading the charge, spreading the message far and wide.
Right.
Foot soldiers play a supporting role,
Okay.
working within their communities to create positive change. It's a reminder that we can all contribute to this spiritual transformation,
Right.
regardless of our position or platform.
So there's a role for everyone.
Yeah,
A way for each of us to participate in this collective effort
exactly.
to move towards greater purity and service. This is really resonating with me. What else does the Murli say about this path to liberation?
So the Murli then introduces this kind of intriguing idea of being intoxicated with the Lord and Master.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that concept?
Honestly, it sounds a bit paradoxical to me.
Yeah.
You know, we usually associate intoxication with something kind of negative, something
Right.
that clouds our judgment.
Yeah.
But in this context, it seems to be about experiencing this really profound joy and purpose that actually liberates us
Right.
from those material attachments.
Yeah.
It's like finding a source of fulfillment that goes beyond the kind of fleeting pleasures of the world. Exactly. It's about experiencing a level of joy and connection so deep
Right.
that it frees us from that need for external validation or material possessions.
Right.
And the Murli suggests that this intoxication comes from remembering the Father,
Right.
from nurturing that inner connection.
So it's about finding our happiness and fulfillment from within,
Yeah.
rather than seeking it in that external world.
Exact.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But the Murli also cautions us against becoming entangled by those material attachments.
Right.
It compares them to being tied up like sheep or goats. What's the significance of that imagery, do you think?
I think it highlights the sense of restriction and limitation
Okay.
that comes with clinging to material things.
Right.
When we define ourselves by our possessions, our
Mhm.
status, or our achievements,
Right.
we become trapped in a cycle of desire
Right.
and dissatisfaction.
It's that wanting more, more, more.
Exactly.
The Murli suggests that true freedom lies in detachment, in recognizing that our true worth
Yeah.
lies beyond those kind of temporary confines of the material world. That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
It makes you think about all the ways that we get tied up in our lives
Oh, yeah.
by our jobs, our relationships, our
Yeah.
desires for more, more.
Exactly.
It's easy to forget that true freedom comes from within.
Absolutely.
This brings us back to Maya,
Okay.
that clever mouse that's always lurking in the shadows.
Right.
The Murli describes Maya as this kind of subtle force that can sneak up on us
Yeah.
and bite us without us even realizing it.
It's sneaky.
So how can we protect ourselves from those Maya bites?
Well, the Murli emphasizes the importance of alertness,
Okay.
of maintaining this kind of heightened awareness of our thoughts,
Right.
feelings, and actions.
Okay.
It's about recognizing when Maya's trying to pull us off course
Right.
and choosing to stay connected to the Father instead.
So it's like developing a spiritual immune system, strengthening our resistance to negativity and illusion.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of what that might look like in practice?
Sure. So let's say you're feeling envious of someone's success.
Okay.
That twinge of jealousy. That's Maya trying to get a foothold.
Okay.
Alertness means recognizing that feeling,
Right.
acknowledging it without judgment,
Uh-huh.
and then consciously choosing to shift your focus.
Okay.
So you might remind yourself of your own unique gifts and talents, or you might focus on sending blessings to the person that you're envying.
Okay.
It's about consciously interrupting that negative thought pattern
Right.
and replacing it with something more positive
Yeah.
and empowering.
That's a great example. It shows how alertness isn't about suppressing our feelings,
No.
but about becoming aware of them
Right.
and making conscious choices that align with our spiritual goals.
Exactly.
The Murli also mentions that Maya can affect even the most advanced spiritual practitioners. It talks about how Maya can catch even Mahavirs and Maharathis by their noses. What does that tell us about the nature of this spiritual journey?
Well, I think it highlights the fact that this is an ongoing process,
Right.
a lifelong journey of self-refinement.
We never really arrive,
We don't.
do we?
There's no point at which we become immune to Maya's influence.
That's right.
The key is to remain vigilant,
Right.
to keep practicing alertness,
Okay.
and to humbly acknowledge our own vulnerability
Right.
to negativity and illusion.
Mhm.
Even the most seasoned travelers can stumble on the path.
It's a reminder to stay humble,
Yeah,
to not become complacent in our spiritual practice.
exactly.
The Murli then emphasizes the importance of listening to the Murli
Okay.
as a way to strengthen our alertness.
Right.
It describes true gopis and gopis as those who can completely forget their body consciousness while listening to the Murli.
Yeah.
What do those terms represent in this context?
So gopis and gopas refer to those who have achieved this state of deep absorption in the divine. And the Murli suggests that when we can fully immerse ourselves in its teachings,
Right.
our awareness of the physical world kind of fades away,
Right.
and we connect with our true spiritual essence.
Yeah.
It's that state of pure awareness,
Right.
unclouded by those distractions of the material world.
It sounds like a state of deep meditation,
Yeah,
a complete transcendence of the physical self.
exactly.
Is that something that anyone can achieve?
The Murli suggests that it's a skill that can be cultivated through practice.
Okay.
The more we listen to the Murli with focused attention, the more we develop the ability to quiet the mind
Right.
and connect with that divine presence within. It's like training a muscle.
Okay.
The more we exercise it, the stronger it becomes.
So it's not about passively listening to the words,
No.
but about actively engaging with the teachings,
Yeah.
letting them penetrate our hearts and minds. It's about creating that space for the divine to flow through us.
Exactly.
We've been talking a lot about liberation,
Right.
a concept that seems really central to the Murli's teachings. Can you explain what liberation means within this Brahma Kumari's worldview?
So liberation refers to the ultimate goal of spiritual practice,
Okay.
the liberation of the soul from the cycle of birth and death,
Right.
from that endless loop of suffering
Yeah.
that comes with attachment to the material world.
Right.
It's about achieving a state of permanent freedom,
Okay.
a state of pure bliss
Wow.
and union with the divine.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
But is liberation something that happens only after death?
Okay.
Or is it something that we can experience while we're still living in this physical world?
Well, the Murli talks about both liberation and liberation in life.
Okay.
So liberation in life is about experiencing a taste of that freedom
Mm.
while we're still embodied,
Right.
living with a sense of detachment, and knowing that our true identity lies beyond those limitations
Right.
of the physical world.
So you can be liberated while still living in the world.
Exactly.
That's a very hopeful concept.
Yeah.
Could you give us an example of what that liberation in life might look like?
Sure. So imagine someone who is facing a challenging situation,
Okay.
a job loss,
Mm-hmm.
a serious illness,
Right.
a difficult relationship.
Okay.
They could choose to react with fear, anger, or despair,
Right.
or they could choose to approach that situation with a sense of detachment,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that these are temporary circumstances
Wow.
that don't define their true essence.
Okay.
They might experience sadness or grief,
Right.
but they wouldn't be consumed by those emotions.
Okay.
They would maintain a sense of inner peace
Right.
and trust that they are being guided and supported,
Mm.
even in the midst of that difficulty.
That's a powerful example. It shows that liberation in life isn't about avoiding challenges,
Yeah.
but about changing our relationship to them. It's about finding that sense of inner peace,
Mm-hmm. And freedom.
even amidst those storms of life.
Yeah.
The Murli also emphasizes that liberation isn't just this individual pursuit,
Right.
but a collective one.
Exactly.
As we progress on our spiritual journey, we also contribute to the liberation of others
Mm-hmm.
and the creation of a more peaceful and harmonious world.
It's this beautiful concept that highlights the interconnectedness of all beings. You know, the idea that our individual actions
Right.
and choices
Ripple outwards.
impacting the world around us.
Exactly. As we purify ourselves,
Right.
we naturally contribute to the purification of the collective consciousness.
It's like a drop of water falling into a still pond,
Yeah.
creating those ripples that spread outwards in all directions.
Beautiful image.
That's such a powerful image. It makes me think about the potential impact that we can have
Yeah.
when we choose to live with love,
Mm-hmm.
compassion,
Right.
and a deep connection to the divine. Absolutely. The Murli reminds us that as we progress on our spiritual journey, we become master bestowers
Right.
of this liberation,
Right.
helping to fulfill the deepest longing of every soul.
This Murli is packed with such profound wisdom.
It is.
It's inspiring
Yeah.
and challenging,
All at the same time.
all at the same time.
Yeah.
It's one thing to understand these teachings intellectually,
Right.
but it's another thing entirely to apply them to our lives.
Yeah.
It can feel kind of overwhelming at times.
You're right. It is a continuous journey,
Yeah.
a process of learning, unlearning,
Right.
and relearning.
Yeah.
And the Murli acknowledges that, we'll encounter obstacles
Right.
along the way,
Yeah.
that Maya will tempt us to stray from the path,
Right.
but it also reminds us that we have that inner strength
Right.
and the resources to overcome those challenges.
It's about remembering that we're not alone on this journey.
Exactly.
We have the support of the divine, the guidance of the Murli, and the companionship of our spiritual family.
Absolutely. And the Murli reminds us that even small steps taken with sincerity
Right.
and dedication can lead to profound transformation.
It's not about perfection,
It's not
but about progress.
about progress.
It's about showing up each day, doing our best,
Yeah.
and trusting that the journey itself is the destination.
Beautiful.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah.
In the last part, we were talking about this idea of liberation in life,
Right.
experiencing a taste of that ultimate freedom while still here in the physical world.
Mm-hmm.
Such a beautiful concept. But I got to say, some days
Yeah.
it feels like all I'm experiencing is, stuck in traffic or drowning in emails kind of life.
I think we can all relate to that.
Right. Not exactly liberating.
Yeah, the Murli acknowledges that, we're living in a complex world
Yeah.
full of responsibilities and challenges.
Right.
And it doesn't suggest that we abandon those responsibilities
Right.
or try to escape reality. It's more about shifting our perspective, integrating these spiritual principles into our daily lives.
So it's not about living in some isolated ashram,
Right.
meditating all day long.
No.
We're supposed to find liberation while navigating rush hour and grocery shopping.
Exactly. It's about finding that inner space of
Yeah.
peace and connection, even amidst the chaos
Yeah.
of daily life.
So even something as mundane as folding laundry or answering emails can be a spiritual practice if done with the right intention.
Absolutely. The Murli talks about cultivating qualities like honesty,
Right.
Kindness and compassion in all of our interactions, no matter how small.
It's about approaching every task, every encounter, with a sense of service,
Exactly.
with this understanding that we're all interconnected. It's about shifting from that me-focused mindset
Right.
to a we-focused mindset,
Yeah.
even in those most ordinary moments.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder if we could all manage to do that, even just a little bit more.
Yeah.
What kind of impact could that have on the world?
It's a ripple effect, as we become more peaceful,
Yeah.
loving individuals, that energy radiates outwards,
Right.
influencing our families, our communities, and ultimately the world at large.
So it's not just about personal liberation.
Right.
It's about contributing to this collective awakening, this global shift towards greater peace and harmony.
Yeah.
That's a powerful thought.
Yeah.
But honestly, it feels like sometimes the world is moving in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
With so much conflict and division.
Right.
Is this vision of a liberated world even realistic?
It might seem like a distant utopia,
Yeah.
but the Murli reminds us that every great change starts with a single step.
Okay.
It starts with each individual making the choice to shift their inner world, to cultivate those qualities of love and compassion and connection.
So we shouldn't underestimate the power of our individual choices,
No.
our daily actions.
Exactly. It's about being the change we wish to see,
Right.
starting with ourselves.
But how do we stay motivated on this path?
Yeah,
Life throws so many curveballs at us.
it does.
It's easy to get discouraged.
Well, the Murli offers this really powerful source of support and guidance.
Okay.
It's this daily reminder of our spiritual potential,
Right.
a roadmap for navigating those challenges of life.
It's nice to have a roadmap.
Yeah.
And the text also emphasizes the importance of connecting with others
Yes.
who share this path,
Mm-hmm.
creating that supportive community that can uplift and inspire us.
Exactly.
That sense of community of shared purpose is so important, isn't it?
It is.
It helps us to remember that we're not alone on this journey.
Right.
Well, this deep dive into the Murli has been a truly insightful experience.
It is.
It's given me a lot to think about.
Yeah.
And some practical tools for incorporating these teachings into my own life.
Me too. I've really enjoyed exploring these concepts with you.
Yeah.
The Murli offers such a rich tapestry of wisdom,
Like that.
inviting us to contemplate the deepest questions of existence and discover our true potential as souls.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to our listeners, we
Yeah.
encourage you to explore these ideas further
Yeah.
and discover how they resonate with your own experiences.
Yeah.
This deep dive is just a starting point.
It is.
There's a whole world of spiritual wisdom out there waiting to be discovered.
Remember, the journey towards liberation starts with a single thought, a single act of kindness,
Yeah.
a single choice to connect with that divine spark within.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Well, thank you for joining us on the deep dive.
it's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration
Yes.
of knowledge and ideas.